Welcome to Silent Screams, where the darkness whispers and shadows tell their tales. Tonight, we unravel a chilling mystery that begins with a simple address, 657 Boulevard, Westfield. What appears to be an ordinary suburban home conceals secrets so dark that they haunt every brick, every shadow, every creak in the floorboards. Now, let's step into the story, but be warned, you may never see your own home the same way again. It all began on a crisp autumn evening, the kind where the air carried a slight chill, and the fading sunlight painted the neighborhood in hues of orange and gold. The Johnson family had just moved into their dream home at 657 Boulevard. It was a charming colonial-style house with a sprawling front yard and a porch that seemed made for lazy summer evenings. The neighbors were friendly, offering warm smiles and plates of baked goods. Everything seemed perfect, too perfect. Within days of moving in, the first letter arrived. Tucked neatly into the mailbox, it bore no return address. The envelope was old-fashioned, sealed with crimson wax, and the handwriting on the front was meticulous. Curiosity quickly turned to unease as John, the father, read the letter aloud at the dinner table. Dear residents of 657 Boulevard, I have been watching your house for decades. It calls to me, as it called to those before you. I will learn everything about you, your family, your secrets. Welcome to the neighborhood. At first, they dismissed it as a prank, a strange, albeit unsettling, welcome from a bored neighbor. But the following night, as the family settled in for bed, something peculiar happened. Emily, their youngest daughter, woke up screaming. She claimed she had seen a figure standing at the foot of her bed, a tall man with hollow eyes and a crooked smile. Her parents chalked it up to a nightmare, but the fear in her voice was undeniable. The days turned into weeks, and the letters kept coming. Each one was more detailed than the last. They described the family's routine in eerie precision, what time the children left for school, the groceries they brought home, even the color of the pajamas Emily wore when she was tucked in at night. The house began to change, as if reacting to the family's growing fear. The lights flickered randomly, even after John replaced the bulbs. Doors creaked open on their own, and the thermostat seemed to have a mind of its own, plunging the house into an unnatural chill at odd hours. Then there were the whispers, soft, almost imperceptible at first. They sounded like distant conversations, just out of reach, but as the nights passed, the whispers grew louder, more distinct, until they seemed to echo through the walls. One night, Sarah, the mother, awoke to the sound of footsteps in the hallway. She nudged John awake, her heart pounding. Together, they crept out of the bedroom, armed with nothing but a flashlight. The beam of light trembled as they moved, illuminating the long, empty corridor. Suddenly, the sound stopped, leaving an oppressive silence in its wake. Just as they were about to retreat to their room, the flashlight flickered and died. In that moment of darkness, Sarah swore she felt a cold hand brush against her arm. The next morning, they found scratch marks on the hallway walls, deep, jagged grooves that hadn't been there before. John tried to explain it away as the work of an animal, maybe a raccoon that had somehow gotten inside. But deep down, he knew better. The marks were too deliberate, too menacing. Emily's behavior grew increasingly strange. She spoke of an invisible friend who visited her at night, someone she called Mr. Watcher. She described him in unsettling detail, a pale man with a suit that looked like it was from another century, and a voice that sounded like broken glass. Her parents tried to reassure her, but the look in her eyes was not one of a child playing pretend. It was fear, raw and unfiltered. One particularly cold night, as the family gathered in the living room, the power went out. John went to check the breaker in the basement, leaving Sarah and the kids huddled together with a single candle. Minutes passed, then what felt like hours. When John finally returned, his face was pale, his hands shaking. He refused to say what he had seen down there, but his silence spoke volumes. That night, he slept with a baseball bat beside the bed. The following day, they found another letter in the mailbox. This one was different, shorter, more direct. 657 Boulevard is mine. Leave while you still can. The family began to feel trapped, as though the walls of the house were closing in on them. Sarah contacted a local historian, desperate for answers. What she discovered sent chills down her spine. The house had a dark past, linked to a series of mysterious disappearances dating back decades. Each family that lived there reported strange occurrences before abruptly leaving. Some had vanished without a trace. As the days passed, the phenomena grew bolder, more aggressive. Shadows moved where there was no light source. Objects fell from shelves with no explanation. One evening, as the family sat down for dinner, the chandelier above the table began to sway violently, as if an unseen force were trying to tear it down. Emily screamed, pointing toward the corner of the room. "He's here. Mr. Watcher is here." John and Sarah saw nothing, but the air grew heavy, almost suffocating. They could feel a presence, something dark and malevolent, watching them. That night, they decided to install security cameras around the house, hoping to catch whatever or whoever was tormenting them. The first night of recordings revealed nothing unusual, just the family moving about their nightly routine. But on the second night, they saw it. A shadowy figure, barely distinguishable, standing in the hallway at 3:15 a.m., completely still. It didn't move, didn't make a sound, and when the camera switched angles, it was gone. Sarah couldn't sleep after that. She started hearing whispers in her dreams, a disjointed chorus of voices calling her name. The children began to grow restless, their once lively laughter replaced by quiet fear. Even the family dog refused to enter certain rooms, growling at empty spaces as if something or someone was standing there. The house seemed alive, its very essence feeding off their terror. Every attempt to leave was thwarted. Their car wouldn't start one morning, even though the mechanic had just serviced it. The front door jammed inexplicably one evening, forcing John to break a window just to get out. And always, there were the letters, constant, unrelenting, as though the house itself was speaking through them. But the worst was yet to come.